Mama. Love B, hello. Hello, darling. Do you know that Conway Twitty song? Hey, Coach says, how are you? Well, hello, Stephanie. Hello there, you beautiful soul. How are you? See my reactive dog back there? He's exhausted. He's exhausted. Join as a guest. I'm going, hi, Concierge Kimberly. It's so good to see you. Rev Karla shop. While I drink my lunch.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hi.
Perfect, it's working.
You're sitting outside. I'm jealous.
I am. The birds are singing.
Good. All right. So the panel part is working on this since I'm not on the live studio. So we'll see how this works. How is everybody? Happy Friday. What hard work and you get ahead. If you listen to neo-Marxists, you will always remain angry. And is that you, Elevator Man? Are you talking about yourself? What are you talking about? Somebody came in hot and heavy. Just calm down. Take a breath. All I've said is hello. What are you talking about? I look like I'm angry, don't I? That sounds like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm spicy. I could be. Hi, Broken. Hello, Melody Joe. Thank you. Thank you all for coming in and saying hi. How are we doing? Is Stacy here yet? Thank you, Gray. I don't know if she is. Hi, Dino Mommy. How are you doing? How are things going? I'm having my lunch. Thinking of you. Drink your water. It's important. I got a lot of stuff queued up. I'm a little Millennial Melanie. Hi. I'm a little hi Heather. I'm glad you're here, sweet soul. Those men are wading in the water to play. Yeah, they really are. And they get louder and angrier when they can't trigger you. And the only way they know how to do it is to pretend that your empowerment is coming from a place. Aren't you angry? Aren't you bitter? That's how they try to control you. Hi, Greg. I think we tried to invite you up one time. Things didn't work out well there because of your settings. Saw that pic for men to be. Yeah. Yes, it is. Hi, Greg. It's good to see you again. MCCer, right? If I remember correctly. Yeah. Y'all are funny. Who knows who, besides Stephanie and Rev Karla shop, who knows what NTB is? That tells you whether you are, the bitter woman trope for sure. I'm going to do a video on that. I think that needs to be, concierge, you don't know what NTB is? It's not code for texting. Hi, Grata. I haven't seen you for a while. It's good to see you. I like it when I get the message that some of my comments have already been filtered. It's like, what's going on in the background there? What's going on in the background? So I queued up a couple things to talk about, but I like to wait and see where the questions are going to go, because on Wednesday, hi Zanshine, hello from Liverpool. It's good to see you. Need to breathe. Who knows who Need to Breathe is? They used to hang around a lot with Third Day and Jars of Clay and Switchfoot and all those. And my daughter is a big fan of them still, because they've kind of crossed over, even though they are I think they're still very much Christian. We should write them and see where they are. Elevator Man? Who are you talking about? Who are you talking about? Hi, Carla from another Carla. Let's see where we are. You have a connection? Sounds good. Do that. Elevator man, you're following me. So what's the what's the point here? I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say. I'm half tempted just to bring him up just to hear what this is about. Family Force 5, yeah, they were a big weren't they a big Christian rock? Bye, Stephanie. Have a good day. That's right. It's early in the morning in your neck of the woods. Go shower. We'll talk to you soon, dear. Love ya. Oh, I can't wait to respond to your text, by the way. Hi, I trust me, I know. Every once in a while I'll go down a switchfoot rabbit hole and listen to some of those songs, or I'll go and a couple of jars of clay. And Michael Gungor has some songs. He's pretty much deconstructed. Hi, Shelley. Thank you. He pretty much is deconstructed. We're mutuals on Instagram. I love to boast about that a little bit because it's kind of cool that we are. But on Wednesday we had like a spiritual care moment. There were many people here who needed to talk about. Thank you for all the gifts and the roses. And be sure to share and like. That does help in this universe. Well, there's Stacy. Uh, Greg, why do so many billionaires support Democrats? Is that true? Is that true? Yeah, Jen. Jars of Clay. I loved some of their songs. Nicole Nordeman. Who are some of the other favorites? Yeah, I got a couple conversations here. Can we all multitask at the same time? Can we do that? Talk about billionaires being supported by Democrats. I mean, if you look at, I mean, let's just start with like Elon Musk. I mean, when you look at how organized, let's call them religious right or Christian nationalists or extremist Christians, it's all part of the same group. Um, you got people like Elon Musk and anybody in that bucket or who is silent and not criticizing Project 2025 or Trump or any of that. They're not supporting the Democrat agenda. So I'm not sure. I feel like that as far as, well, I don't like to call myself a Democrat. I call myself just a human trying to make sure we don't become a Christian fascist country. And part of that means that as soon as we get through this election, which I hope Trump doesn't get elected, that's going to be for our benefit that he doesn't, because then Project 2025 is going to go into full force. Um, then we have to work to dismantle the system so that it can be more representative of what the demographics of the United States of America is. Because the way, if you look at just our congressional makeup, you would think we're all white Christian men, and that's simply not the case. So George Soros, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos? I didn't know that. And Mark Cuban. Okay, so that's four. That's four. And I'm honestly, Greg, when it comes to what does what mean? I want to go see what that talks about. What did you say? Oh, okay. What did he say? You must believe in Jesus, that he exists. So Dante, let's park it here for a minute. What she's telling you is that you're here to proselytize, which means you're talking about your faith and you're saying only this is the only way to believe. So it's like you knocked on our door and you're not invited. But even you don't care that you're not invited. You're going to still sit and babble and tell us about your faith. And whether if you're new here or if you are just don't care and you're just going to keep just spewing out Bible verses to a bunch of people who are deconstructing. And when we are deconstructing, those are actually either triggers or confirmation or both that we are so happy that we left a religion who feels like people can be, that they're entitled to come in these spaces and just start spewing scripture, because to us it feels weaponized, it feels judgmental when you know nothing about the people that are here, so but you don't care. So it's like, wow, I'm really glad I left that religion. No one's listening to you here. No one listens to that kind of stuff and think, oh yeah, I forgot about that verse, let me hop right back to church and submit to church authority. Nobody's thinking like that here. So she's telling you one of the boundaries for you to be in this life. You can stay here and listen, or you can just leave if you're going to stay and proselytize. Proselytize means you're just going to keep talking about your faith because you believe that it's the only way to believe, and everybody has to conform to your way of belief, your beliefs. And that's not what we do here. Yeah, no one's listening to you here. We're busy. We're busy doing other things and really deconstructing from the harm that organized religion, primarily Christianity, has done to us. So it's not a good look on you. It's not a good look on you, Dante. But there are plenty of other Christian lives happening out there. Rev Karla with boundaries. It took me years to get them. The first time, a couple of times that I set the boundaries, I broke out in sweat because I was spent years. Oh, okay, Dante. This is so good, y'all. This is so good. Do y'all remember what spiritual gaslighting is? Do you see what he's doing here? Calm down, good ma'am, good day. Calm down, because I set a boundary. I was not insulting. I was respectful, but I was assertive and confident and very candid in what I was saying. And I'm getting personal. Do you see what they do with the spiritual manipulation? This is such a spiritual gaslighting tactic that's part of this religious patriarchal indoctrination. And I guarantee you that he's doing it from a place that if we were together, he'd pat me on the shoulders. How many of you had that kind of leader do that to you? Where you were actually at a place of valid empowerment, and the only way that they could figure out to try to get you back under control is to remind you that you're a woman and that somehow you're getting emotional, and your emotions are not letting you see this straight. But I'm going to go ahead and rise above all of this and tell you to have a good day because I'm the better person. So go ahead and mute it. Us women aren't allowed to have opinions. Yeah, for sure. That's exactly right, Heather. Stargazer says, thank you for teaching this. I'm 42 and still naive. It's really hard. It's really hard to see it. You might feel like you're triggered by it and you don't understand why. And because for so many of us who were indoctrinated into that type of religion, when we felt those triggers, from a place that said, well, we must be doing something wrong. There must be something wrong in our spirit, right? We must need to get right with God if we're feeling that trigger, instead of looking at it as someone is trying to control me. Someone is trying to harm me. Someone doesn't have my best interest at heart. They're trying to bring me under submission for the sole purpose of the perpetuation of their institution, of their religious beliefs. It has nothing to do with my good. We weren't taught that part. We were taught that a trigger meant that we weren't right with God. And that's what Dante was doing. Did I see? Hey, I leave breadcrumbs. Hi. Hello there. Hi, dear soul. How are you? It's good to see you. I want, but so let me finish this one. I was trying to multitask and I didn't do a very good job of it. But we were talking about Wednesday. Really went into a lot of spiritual care. There were some people in here who needed to talk about their religious trauma. There were people in here who needed to be seen and held and talk about some really deep deconstructing topics. So we went deep into that, and we didn't talk about Christian nationalism. We didn't talk about some of the other things that we need that are also important. So I'll wait and see what y'all want to talk about. But one thing that did bother, thank you for the gifts, is the response to Harrison Butkers' speech from some of his teammates. And I did notice that Travis Kelsey just a few hours ago, I don't know if he did it on a podcast. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. Hi, hey, it's me, Lorna. Hi. But he came out and Patrick Mahomes came out, and basically they said, you take the words right out of my mouth. Did I miss I'm not sure what you mean by that comment. Heather, we're here for you, sweet soul. We're here for you. I know sometimes you struggle, but just know we're here for you. But Travis Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes both came out and they made a statement. And basically what they were saying is these are Travis Kelsey's words. I cherish him as a teammate. I think Pat talking about Pat Mahomes said it best. Am I saying his name right? I don't even know. I don't care. Said it best where he is every bit a great person. He's a great person and a great teammate. And he treated his family, Travis's family, really great and nothing but kindness and respect. And that's how he treats everyone. That's how he treats everyone, even though he called the Pride Month a deadly sin. Does he treat everyone like that? Does he treat everyone like that when he literally got up and said that? And everything he said about women, but he treats everyone with kindness and respect? Are you seeing some dissonance here? And that's how he treats everyone. The reason why I'm telling you this is because it's not enough for him to say, I don't think that I should judge him by his views, especially his religious views of how to go about life. That's just not who I am. Well, isn't that convenient that a white man doesn't feel bothered by Harrison Butker's words? Aren't we all happy to know that Travis Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes really didn't feel the need to make a comment because, hey, he really is a good guy? This is removing themselves for no accountability whatsoever in this situation. And you know why? Again, because of patriarchy. They are so far up on that patriarchal structure. If something comes up for what Harrison Butker represents, so let's make this very clear. That was a propaganda speech to make him become the face of this movement called the traditional Latin Mass. This is what they did. And there are some names that I can't say right now, but you can go see my videos to start putting those pieces together to see how dangerous they are and how well funded and well connected they are. And it's a straight line to Donald Trump. And what they're saying is that we don't feel personally responsible in any way, shape, or form to humanity, to our fellow citizens, the ones who buys our merchandise, the ones who buy the tickets to come see us. None of those people we don't feel responsible for because we're white and we're men and we're not going to be impacted by any of the things that might come to fruition if the people who believe like Harrison Butker get into power. They're not going to make any statement about it. Let's make this very clear. If you are not making a statement, then you are complicit. And that silence at this point is not only dangerous, it's going to end up being deadly. Because if Project 2025 continues to become part of our institutional governmental structure, which it is, it's already happening right now. It is already happening. And if you haven't, exactly, hey, it's me, Lorna, not making a statement is a statement. It's not enough. And it's actually cringy to say, I can't judge him on his religious reviews. Let's make this clear. Because I've said this before too. You have the right to believe what you want to believe. I know that's hard. I know that's really hard. There are people who read the Bible and think that it still means that being gay is a sin. So if you have your little church family and that's what you believe, then you believe that in your church. I feel sorry for the kids that are growing up in that. And I feel sorry for the women who are growing up in that, but that are held hostage by that. But they are. The minute you turn that belief outward and you say, because I believe it, I'm going to make sure I control your life, that is religious oppression. But people like Harrison Butker and Mike Pence and Mike Johnson believe that that is religious freedom for them. They believe that religious freedom literally means that because they believe their beliefs is the only beliefs that matter, that they get to weaponize those beliefs and force other people to believe, to live like they want them to believe. And that means annihilate the rights of anybody who doesn't look like, love like, or believe like they do. That is their version of religious freedom, when in reality, it's religious oppression. I love how you all like to rewrite the Bible as if the Bible hasn't been rewritten thousands of times. You poor, guideless soul. Bay Hardy, I love that question. I'm going to come back to it. I am hearing is wah, 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 like, but Charlie, oh my goodness. Y'all are funny. I'm going to take a drink. Oh, I would be worried about your soul if you're out here just trying to. That is so funny. Child of First Pick Harvest says that King James Version is the truth. So what's so interesting about that, I heard that my entire life. I was raised Southern Baptist. So you're not talking about somebody who was just decided yesterday, like, I think I'll pick up a Bible and then I'm going to start criticizing. Do y'all all know who you're talking about? The King James Bible was written in the 1600s, and yet somehow it's the only one that's true. And the awkward part of it is that it was written so that this gay king could insert the language to reinforce monarchical rule. And y'all think that's a flex. Y'all think that's a flex. That's what I think is absolutely hilarious, that this Bible, this inerrant, infallible Word of God, somehow got upgraded in the 1600s by a king with an agenda. And you all think that that's okay. I would go ahead and start muting, because I want to make sure it stays a safe place for the people who have a question. So the person who asked me a question that said that they wanted to know how to pray if it's not to God. So when we're talking about prayer, for so many of us, we were taught that this act of prayer was something that was just to that patriarchal, anthropomorphized God, that this patriarchal, anthropomorphized God that was going to specifically answer your prayers. So those intercessory type prayers. God, pray for my sports team to win. God, I need a parking space close to the Walmart exit. Though, and I'm not minimizing the fact there are many times that we would offer heartfelt prayers for our loved ones or something like that. But at the same time, you got this bucket of thinking that you had a direct avenue to this God. And because you were in the right place at the right time, born in this right place at the right time, and based on just that religion, that bucket of religion, somehow that moved you to the front of the line when it came to getting your prayers answered. And it didn't matter. So you're praying for your 5-year-old cousin with terminal cancer who somehow is delivered from that. But what about the neighbor's child down the street who didn't survive and was praying the same prayers? And we just, we're taught to either ignore that or say, well, something about their life wasn't right. Hopefully they'll get right with God. And just this, all of these different types of manipulated, get your emotions tied up into them to the place where, Imhutch love, there was a lot of that, which women, well, people, but primarily women who were being unalived because of that, the being labeled a heretic. Absolutely. And so deconstructing from that, the first thing is understanding, coming face to face with what is it now that you believe about this God. Because when you realize how much your faith was weaponized to not only control you, but how you saw the world, that kind of deconstructing takes a while. It takes a minute, doesn't it? And in there, then you want to find a place where you can find peace and contentment and connection. And where is it if you lose that anthropomorphized patriarchal God? Or you start to release, I talk about this in the book, where at the beginning I say it's time to release God from rules. Because all of those rules are man-made, human-made, well, mostly man-made. So what happens to your faith journey at that time? So what I suggest and what I highly recommend is moments of silence. So if you've never heard of anything, I recommend that you go look at Paganisco. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. The Spanish Inquisition, absolutely. So look at the centering prayer. Look up Thomas Keating, Keating, centering prayer. Now, for many Christians, especially Christians who, evangelical, fundamentalist, they are highly critical of a centering type prayer practice because it really integrates meditation into the prayer. There's hybrids of doing the prayer. So when you look it up, there's books on it that are centered around Thomas Keating's teaching on it. But you just look up centering prayer, you're going to find it. And what that allows you to do is take a phrase, a word, or something that still means something in your faith journey, your deconstructing journey, and turn that into a meditation practice. So it's not that you have to have this discussion in your prayer time with a being when that relationship is changing. You see what I mean? Like you're more than likely that you're releasing some of those indoctrinating beliefs and trying to find a place where you're trying to figure out what's inside you and how it's connected to whatever this divine source, this mystery is. And I'll be honest, for years after I started deconstructing, I could not even say the name God. And I went full circle. So when I first left church, I 100% thought I was going to hell. 100% thought I was going to hell. But I already felt like I was in hell. So I was willing to take a chance. I felt that God was angry with me and that I was going to go to hell, but I was so miserable that I thought I got to take a chance. I got to figure out what this is. Now, obviously, I continued my deconstructing journey. And then when I started to realize how much of my biblical instruction inside my evangelical faith was so cherry picked, and I started to read teachings from other biblical scholars like Bart Ehrman and John Shelby Spong and Rachel Held Evans and Adyashanti and Reza Aslan that had different teachings about Jesus. And then I realized that I might not agree with everything I was reading, but I came to understand that there are so many different ways to understand this scripture because it didn't come down in one big book and be delivered to people. I literally was taught that. I was taught that the Bible just came in that form and was given to people. That's how simplified Bible teaching is in a lot of these evangelical churches. So when you hear people get up here and start arguing with you on lives and they start arguing with you, that's their basis. And you can hear it in their arguments that they believe this, that it came in that way, when the reality is there isn't one Bible in complete manuscript form from thousands of years ago. It's been edited and re-edited and added to and deleted and manipulated and retranslated depending on who was in power. And it's been retranslated from dead languages. And once you understand that, then you start to say, why do I have to be so held hostage to translations that weren't even meant for that? That's not what the writers of that scripture was even intending to do at all. What they were trying to do was to tell the story of how they understand their lived experience. There's a reason why when you look at the ancient scriptures around the world, relatively speaking, no scholar come at me right now, there was an awakening, a human awakening that said, all of a sudden, I understand that I can think. And I don't understand how I got here. And I don't understand how we got here. And I don't understand who my ancestors are. Where did we come from? And some regions of the earth decided that we came from a dung beetle. And some others developed other stories. But somehow, somewhere, in that little tiny place in the Middle East, that's supposed to be the one that's to influence the entire world, while we ignore everyone else's human experience. And most of the reason why nobody's worshiping a dung beetle as the creator is because they understand its myth. They understand that it was just people trying to understand how we got to where we are, and that they knew that we were going to continue to evolve and awaken. And why we don't have some of the barbaric practices and sacrifices that we did from long ago, because we realize that that doesn't make any deity in the sky happy. It's not necessary. But at the time, it was part of the traditions. And those traditions fell away. And yet, when you hold on to that antiquated faith, someone's going to get hurt. It's impossible for someone's rights not to be suffocated. For you to be for your faith to be elevated to a certain point. So, when you start to let that go, where I was going with my story, and I do tell this in my book, Deconstructing, Leaving Church, Finding Faith. It's in pre-order, and it certainly would help if you do consider pre-ordering that. I I wasn't able to say God anymore because all I could think of was this anthropomorphized patriarchal gray-haired God, and I knew I wanted nothing to do with that God. And I went through all of my college career and seminary not able to say that word anymore, just letting it all go. And it wasn't until the day I was ordained that I was able to get that back because I understood that when I say God, all I'm doing is holding on to this acceptance that I don't know who or what God is. But I am not going to let an entire radicalized extremist group dictate that God can only be understood their way. So I'm going to reclaim that word and hold on to it and say that it doesn't have to mean just that. It can point us to just trying to find the journey of the mystery that has more to do about our human experience than trying to find the answer. Because I'm 100% convinced that anything that we now understand is so far away, we don't even have the language to understand it right now, where we are in our evolution and our awakening. We don't have the language to understand it. So the only people who are wanting to hold on to a rigid definition are those whose power depends on it. Ooh, I said that. I did. I said it. And so then you come to the place then, well, if I don't believe in that God anymore, but I do believe in some kind of mystery, divine power that I don't know all the words or the names, or I can't describe it, but it somehow it leads me to want to be a better person, and I want to leave a legacy, and I want to leave this earth a better place because I was in it, then I want to pause and I want to take a breath. And that prayer can't sound the same because I know that that entity could care less about my parking space and could care less about whether or not my sports team wins or loses. That was all fabricated as part of this weaponization of my religious heritage. So can I find other ways? So what do I want to be? I want to be kind. I want to be, as I said in my ordination, a goddess of kindness and a warrior for justice. And I didn't even have those words until I stood up to say them. I wrote out my ordination vows were so clunky and too long, and all of a sudden I stood up and there they were. That's the reason why I can't give up on this divine mystery, because those words did not come from me. They came from something, somewhere. And I said, I vow to be a goddess of kindness and a warrior for justice. And maybe as a Libra, that's what I'm supposed to be here to do anyway. And that means teaching you how to deconstruct. It means giving you different words and understanding. It means offering you a path that doesn't require you to use your faith to hurt other people. This table of humanity is big enough for all of us. The minute someone decides to kick your chair out or say that you can only be here if you believe this way and you hate the same people we do, they have weaponized their faith and they have limited the human experience that was never ours to control in the first place. And so if that means I take a breath and I say, I just want to be kind, but I also want to work for justice. I want my voice to be heard loud and clear so that the ones who are following behind me will know that I worked to try to make a difference for this little silo of existence that I'm in. And so, yeah, prayer is still a part of my life, but it does not look anything like it did when I was sitting in church and saying, thank you, Jesus, because I, as a lowly sinner, am so much better than everybody out there who doesn't know you. I don't recognize that person anymore. Well, whoever asked that question, I hope that answer. I hope that answered it. Yes, I am a Libra. Jonathan, yeah, the Holy Spirit, I perhaps the Holy Spirit. Are you talking to me, Jonathan? Granny, somewhere in there I was answering a question, and I don't know if you heard me talking about the centering prayer. So the centering prayer was developed by was developed by Thomas Keating, Keating. So you can look it up. And in that, even though it's a Christian centric prayer, um, it's very much meditative. And there were many Christians who criticized it because they want you to be entrenched in that kind of activated prayer, intercessory prayer that concludes that a patriarchal God must be happy with you before your prayers are going to be answered. But in this, it's more of an expansive prayer. It's more of a calming prayer. It's an interconnected prayer. So you can use a phrase or a word or something that comes to mind that you can hold on to and just breathe. And that resonates with me. I saw somebody say something about walking a labyrinth. Meditative prayer walks are very much very powerful. So Lynette, do I have that contemplative practice resource guide? I wrote it. Yeah, it's more, Granny, yeah, it is more like meditating, but that is, people will shy away from meditation thinking that that's going to deviate. Even in deconstructing, sometimes people are triggered by those words, but I would say it very much is more meditative than it is like you're actively talking to a god or something like that. So, oh, so you're talking about make me an Cree Cree. Are you talking about make me an instrument of your peace? Any one of those kinds of written prayers that you can find might be a good one. I do have a resource guide that's on contemplative prayers. I even think I wrote some. It's been a couple of months since I wrote it, but we'll try to get that going, and we'll definitely put it into the Rev Karla's Inner Circle, which is in Book of the Face. But we'll find out more to go. We'll find out more about that. Hey, it's me, Lorna. I love to go into the deep forested part of the park and just sit quietly among the birds of nature. There's no better way to be connected, is there? Well, hello there, Rosie. Hello there, beautiful soul. I haven't seen you forever. I was just thinking about you this morning. I was just thinking about you. Y'all, I'm not going to be on here much longer. I've got to go do the thing. Hi, sweet soul. I was thinking about you. Are you out of school yet? And then Rich comes in and thinks he's done something. So if you all have been here for what? Almost an hour. And we have really gone into a deconstructing teaching. How many of you are feeling this? What is it that some of them say? Give me a high five or something, or a heart, and show me. Did you feel this? Did you like that teaching? I love thunderstorms. I do too, except my reactive dog. Can y'all see my reactive dog back there on the bed? I'm at my daughter's house today. Do you see him? Thank you for the hearts. Thank you. Oh, Teresa, you're so sweet. I am your neighbor. Don't forget that we are learning what community looks like. It's going to look different for us. Many of us don't have those physical connections anymore in our neighborhoods. I think they're coming. Thank you for all the hearts. But we're having this wonderful, powerful deconstructing moment, and then you get somebody like Rich come in and think Trump 2024, and he's done something. Like all of a sudden, we're all going to be so offended and riled up because Rich comes in and says Trump 2024. It's kind of pitiful. I mean, to me, it's kind of pitiful that you got a brain, and you got power, and that's all you got. That's all you got, and that's supposed to do the thing. Hi, Holly. I'm so glad you're here. I bet you're going through it, Teresa. It's tough, depending on where you are in your deconstructing journey. It can be lonely. It can be unsettling. It can feel I know many people who said, I can't do this. I am going to fake it in the pews, then I'm going to go back because I don't know who I am outside of my spiritual community. My spiritual community was so much of my identity. When I left church, my phone went silent. That's what all my contacts was. Everything, my work. I was at the church 6, 7 days a week. It was my life. And I knew that if I was leaving, I was going to dive in first to make sure that that was going to be the end of it. Panako, how do some people not see that Trump is absolutely vile in many ways? They have been indoctrinated not to see that because, okay, somebody's going to not like this. That's exactly who their church leaders are. That's who they have been conditioned to expect. They've all been waiting. This is part of keep in mind, we are seeing the culmination of a 50, 60-year plan. If you have not watched The Family on Netflix, go watch The Family. This starts in the 50s. They've been seeing the data. If you go to a Gallup poll, a US Gallup poll, that shows that for the first time in American history, we are an unchurched country. There are more people who are not in church membership than there are. For the first time, those who have been organizing Christian nationalism saw that trend 50, 60 years ago. And so when you understand that and you go to understand the rise of the religious right in the 60s in response to the civil rights movement. So now you're looking at Jerry Falwell, Paul, last name begins with W. I always forget his name. The founder of The Family, who started to massage their movement into politics. Do you hear my dog? He's having a dream. They started to massage their movement into politics because they knew they were going to need it. And they knew they needed something to hide what this movement was really about. And the movement was really about protecting white supremacy. But they put it behind reproductive rights. The moral majority took up the banner of reproductive rights because that was something that they could ignite the evangelical base behind. So that is when they married politics to it, and that's what the rise of Ronald Reagan. And right behind him was Mitch McConnell, who promised to deliver the judicial side and manipulate judges to the conservative extremist Christian base. So you are seeing the culmination of that. So inside evangelical Christianity, now somebody here knows exactly what I'm talking about. So how many of you have heard of Joyce Meyer? Joyce Meyer. Come on now, I know you do. Yeah, they're great. Okay, hi Salt's mom. I didn't know you're here. All right, so Joyce Meyer, I followed her all over the country, basically. I brought my whole family all over the place to see her. And there was a shift towards the end, and this was getting close to my deconstructing, but there was a shift towards the end where she started to show propaganda videos, and she would allow her husband to come up and speak. How many of you saw this shift? So Dave would get up and speak, but before he'd speak, and he would talk about how our country was falling into destitution because of the rise of people expecting equal rights. He attacked feminism. He attacked the rights of the LGBTQIA+. He even went so far as to dabble in attacking Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Oh yeah, if you sit in those stadiums, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They never had to mention a politics name, but that is when the conditioning inside the churches began. So she was starting part of that propaganda, what was exactly happening in the mega churches and the evangelical churches all across the United States. The conditioning began. And so when you're indoctrinated into that religious patriarchy, you learn to tolerate that type of abuse. You learn that your church leaders are one step below God. It doesn't have to be scriptural, but they instill that in you. So you don't have the right to question them. There's no accountability. They're ordained by God, but yet they're only human. Somebody hears what I'm saying right now, and it's triggering you because that's exactly what they taught us. So then you have somebody like Trump come along and they say, yeah, well, he's not perfect, but, and how many of us have heard he's ordained by God? That is what they've been taught their entire life. It is what they have been taught their entire life. So that's why they're behind him, because that's who's has them in church. Look at the data. Look at the data. I've got to do a better job of collecting information on people I follow, but there is a person here. I'm just going to go find it. Give me a second. Maybe I can. Sorry if my computer starts talking. I can't find it. Okay, there's someone I'll have to get it for the next live, but there is a person I follow who tracks the data of how many abuse against women and children are filed every week across the United States, and how many of them are related to people connected to the church, and how many are actually trans people. None. But the vast majority, it's scary how many of them are connected to churches, because it is a safe haven, because they won't report. Go and look at the Southern Baptist Convention report from a couple years ago. They create systems that won't or don't report. Look at John MacArthur's legacy. Just go type in John MacArthur hiding abusers. Go look at Micah Miller's story that's happening right here, and see what the story is, the line of abuse from her estranged husband to his father, and see what's happened there. You talk about disgusting. And so it's right there in church. And so what they do, and I heard it today on a live where someone was talking about, they're going to vote for the person who is more aligned with their beliefs. And their beliefs are that to protect the rights of the unborn. That goes back to Jerry Falwell. And Jerry Falwell could give a flip. Jerry Falwell is directly connected to white supremacy. Go look up an article, Politico.com, The Real Origin of the Religious Right. Politico.com, The Real Origin of the Religious Right, to see. See the history of Jerry Falwell connected to Bob Jones University, where they were clearly segregating, and they were getting ready to lose their tax status, their tax-free status, and they didn't care. They didn't care. They were going to hold on to their segregation. That's the real agenda here. All right, I'm going to do one cleanup here and see what we got. Yeah, prayed away but not report. Go back to Jimmy Swaggart, Jim Baker. I mean, it goes on and on how long this has been going, on and on. Thank you for all the gifts. Thank you for all the shares. I don't know anything. Hey, it's me, Lorna. I don't know anything. I don't follow them, and I don't, for a lot of reasons. So I don't know anything about that. Yes, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. And I want to do some more research. So Mike Johnson is, Mike Johnson is very much entrenched with Trump. And Trump is, again, go see my art, but go see my video where I'm talking about Harrison Butker and the traditional Latin Mass. And if you want to go into a deep dive on that, we can. We can spend more time on that another time. But Mike Johnson, he's an evangelical, but he's flying a flag outside of his office that very much puts him on the side of the insurrectionists. And then you have Mike Pence over here, who has come out against Trump, and Liz Cheney, who's come out against Trump, but they're also Christian. And we know that Cheney supported Trump because she voted with him 93% of the time. So there was a lot of his policies that she likes. But what people like like Pence and Cheney are like, they still think they can get their Christian nationalist agenda through without having to overthrow the Constitution. And they're right, because they have SCOTUS. They're giving all the power back to the states, who are, completely annihilate the rights of the LGBTQIA plus. They're throwing out DEI. They're Florida is making it illegal to put up any kind of symbolism of rainbow during Pride Month. So it's happening across the United States, and Pence and Cheney are for that, but there is a division there. And I think it goes along evangelicals and Catholicism. And Trump is more in line with the traditional Latin Mass. And I don't know how Mike Johnson fits into that. Yeah, I know, Goldmine Man. I just keep babbling and I don't know anything about what I'm talking about. All right, y'all. Oh my goodness. This was a really good conversation. I hope we were talking so much about deconstructing, and I really enjoyed what we were talking about there. I hope that really helped you. I will be back on Monday about 12 noon Eastern, and I wanted to see that I'm having trouble finding the cue. As always, there it is. What I got going on? Just my pre-order for my book. I would very much appreciate it. Deconstructing, Leaving Church, Finding Faith. Make it a good weekend. I know that deconstructing is hard and lonely. I saw so many of you talking about that. I want to tell you something, and I really believe that we're at the start of change in what community is going to look like. But don't discount what virtual communities can be on your healing journey. Spending time in groups like this, but also because part of deconstructing is decolonizing. You have to decolonize because we were taught so much of white supremacy inside our Christian indoctrination. So make sure you go to other lives. Make sure that you're following people that can help you release those indoctrinations. Look at my book list. Join Rev Karla's Inner Circle on Book of the Face, where we're going to really step up some of the connections and things that we're doing in there. Soon I'll be announcing, yes, this is my follow-up account, Rev Karla's Shop and Rev Karla TOO. Those are the only accounts I have here. There are always spam accounts here that I can't, I try to get taken down. It's very challenging. You can follow those two accounts, but you can, we will be talking about the subscription here. We are going to be adding some videos and some extra lives where we're going to be doing step-by-step deconstructing lives to help you go a little deeper on a more intimate level, and not have to worry about people like Rich coming in and saying, Trump 2024. That was a flex, Rich. That was such a flex. Thank you all so very, very much. Don't forget, I see you and you are loved. Never ever forget that you are worth so much more than what you were taught to believe about yourself based on what church said to you. That was a lie, my dear. Make it a good day. Hope you have a good weekend. Make it a good holiday weekend. I still will go live on Monday, even though it's a holiday. Love you all so very much. Thank you again. Bye for now.